Lynn, take it away.
Okay, hi everyone. Hi again. Okay. So when we were looking for people to partner with for the She Talks Asia Summit, we wanted to look for brands who, really cared about women. And when we encountered Hedgren, we were blown away because the products are really designed with the woman on the go in mind. What do we mean? If you look at their bags, by the way, they didn't ask me to say this. I just want to clarify. When you look at their bags and you'll visit in the booth, first of all, who here brings a big bag so that you can put all your life in it? Right? Everyone. And these bags, what I love about them is that they're very lightweight. So apart from you can put your entire life in them, they're also very lightweight. And for someone in her early 30s and is starting to experience backaches, that is such a plus. Okay, so we're very proud to be partners with Hedgren. We feel that, again, they really kept in mind the woman's needs when designing their products. And today, what we want to do is, apart from that life hack, that simple life hack, which is, to find bags or other accessories or anything really that make your life a bit easier. We want to learn from other women, multi-hyphenate women, and what are their concrete tips for us on how to balance the multiple roles that they play. All right, so let's get started on the conversation. Let's welcome to the stage Arriane Serafico. She's a teacher, entrepreneur, the founder of The Purposeful Creative, an online school where purpose-seeking women can find a supportive online community, empowering stories, and highly actionable workshops and mentorship. By the way, she also supports one of the students in Mana Amiga. Wow, nag-plug ng sariling NGO. Okay, thanks, Arriane. Next up, another amazing woman. We have Dr. Jing Zamora. She is a recipient of the TOYM Award for Medicine for her exemplary advocacy work for the Sakip Buhay Medical Foundation and for being one of the key movers who put up the Lupus Bridging Fund. She practices internal medicine, specializing in rheumatology, and her other work includes HIV counseling, infectious diseases treatment, and specialty diagnostics in tuberculosis. A woman in STEM, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jing. And last but not the least, we have Winnie Wong. Beyond her online persona, Penelope Pop, Winnie is a dedicated supporter of art and education, especially towards the youth. Winnie earned her degrees in early childhood education and illustration at Emily Carr University. She's a full-time graphic designer and photography teacher and the co-founder of Future Faces Manila, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting students from low-income families in studying the arts. All right, welcome, ladies. I'm not sure, so what we want to do for this morning, by the way, we encourage you to share your insights from the panel. 3 lucky winners will get a bag from Hedgren. They'll be picking the most insightful messages and stories that you'll get from the panel. Just please make sure to tag at HedgrenPH, at She Talks Asia, and use the hashtag HedgrenX She Talks Asia. Okay, ready? All right. So the reason why we came up with this panel is that a lot of the conversations we got online is that a lot of women feel that they're not enough because they're pressured to be perfect. And every time because most women have multiple roles, right? And I'll be asking you about that. Most women have multiple roles, and if there's one role that they cannot fulfill perfectly, they immediately think they're a bad wife, they're a bad daughter, they're a bad coworker, etc., etc. And this is really about that. We want to learn from you. How do you manage not just your roles, but also these dialogues that we get? And how do you really say we are enough? So let's start. I want to learn, what are the multiple roles that each one of you plays, and how do you manage them, or how do you balance your time? Okay, Arriane, I'm looking at you.
Okay, so now I am first and foremost a teacher, so that's what I do. I teach classes online. I used to do workshops in person, but now I teach them online, so I'm able to reach a lot of women, which is kind of really exciting, but also overwhelming because I get to reach so many people from not just Manila, but also like all the way to Zamboanga, Puerto Princesa, all that. So that's one part. So being a teacher is definitely something that I really strive to be good at. So that's one of the biggest roles that I fulfill. And then I'm also an entrepreneur because the other side of that is that's my business. That's the entire thing. And I feel like even just those two things, just looking at those two things, I'm having difficulty balancing that because normally teachers aren't entrepreneurs themselves when you work in a traditional school. But I'm finding that now that I'm exploring this new industry of being both teacher and entrepreneur, it sometimes I feel like naglalaban siya, like it's a push and pull of trying to help as many women as you can, but also at the same time trying to sustain yourself as a career woman, as a business owner. So that's definitely, for me, in this season of my life, those are the two roles that figure the most in my internal debates.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Jing.
So obviously from what you call me, I'm a doctor. I'm an internist, meaning I can help adults with any condition except for surgical and maybe OB/GYN and the head. And I'm also a rheumatologist. It might not be very commonly heard. Rheumatologists deal with arthritis, lupus, other rare diseases. So basically, as a doctor in PGH and in a private hospital, St. Luke's and Manila Doctors Hospital, I'm also involved with teaching students, residents, and fellows. So we are supposed to train the next generation of doctors. So I'm also a teacher, not just a physician. I also do research because it's part of our requirements. And as a doctor, you never really stop learning. As in, when I was still in med school and during training, all I wanted to do was to graduate. And then I was thinking that pagka-graduate ko, I'll just watch TV and I'll just read my pocketbooks again because I stopped reading a lot of pocketbooks. During med school, I had to devote all my time to my med books, the very thick ones. But I was really mistaken because you don't stop reading and learning. And then especially if you're in a training institution and you have students, of course you have to know more than them. What if they ask you something and you're not aware of it? So I also always have to read, we have to do research. And so basically being a doctor takes up so much of my time. We also have to write articles, books, and all those. But the most important part of myself is being a mother. So I guess that's what really makes it difficult. I work, but, and also my work is not just to earn because part of my joy, actually majority of my joy with my work is the advocacy that comes with it, like Hope for Lupus and Sagip Buhay. Those are what I really enjoy, but they're not income generating. So I have to make sure that some of my time are with things that I need
Make
to
money.
live, yes,
Right.
because I need to earn to be a mom, you know. And so those things really make me feel guilty. And I think we can talk more about that
Yes.
later. Yeah.
And then Winnie, for you, what are the multiple roles that you play?
So I am a teacher at International School Manila. I teach graphic design and photography for high school students, and then I look like one of them too.
It's true.
Yeah, don't worry. When I go to parent-teacher conferences, they're like, "I'm looking for the teacher," and I'm like, "Yeah." I own up to it, okay, and I'm proud to look young, and I think that you should always take your disadvantages and just own up to it. And then on the side, I also have my YouTube channel, lol. Okay, and then my I just started a planner, and in December, who has it? Who has one here? Yeah, I see you. Okay, and yeah, that's it. I think one key skill that is really important is learning how to manage your time. And I think it's something that you build over time and practice. Nothing is picked up right off the bat unless you're a talented person. And let's be real, not all of us are born to be great. Okay, and that's fine. I think everyone has to hone their skill eventually. And it takes time and practice, and that's what you need to remember, that these are skills that you build, just like how you walk. You have to learn how to do it properly.
Actually, you're like that because after so many summits and even listening to Risa earlier, right? A lot of people think that successful women they're just, immediately successful, that maybe they're born in a position of privilege. But what we really see consistently is grit, right? Like people persevering. As I mentioned earlier, right, our challenge as women is that it's so easy for us to feel guilty when we feel that we're not living up to the expectations that we actually put on ourselves, right? Most of the time, the pressure is actually coming from us and not really external pressure. How do you manage that? Anyone can answer.
Ako daw. Like I said earlier, it's really an everyday thing that I feel guilty, especially when my daughter was born. No? I was still in residency training, so I was listening to Risa earlier. So you're really inspiring. And I was just comparing myself. No, I was pregnant at 26 or 27, so parang akala natin matanda na, di ba? I'm not supposed to, have difficulty and all that, but I was still training. And so I had to divide my time between doing patient work. There are so many patients in PGH. You don't get paid for each patient. It's really just a salary that's, just enough to pay our driver and my yaya, etc. And then rushing back to the call room to pump my milk. So always, since she was born, there's this feeling of guilt that I'm not giving her 100% of myself as a mom. And because of that, syempre, whenever I go home, I go immediately to my daughter and, be with her, because maybe I've come from a duty in the hospital, which is like 36 hours and more. And then, so when I'm at work, I also feel guilty because sometimes my mind is on her. Right. She's sick and whatever. And then, like, my patients are here, and always my mind is swimming with things. And so until now, there's this guilt. Like right now, I'm just happy that she's in a retreat, so I don't feel so guilty right now. Buti na lang. Perfect timing for She Talks Asia.
So how do you manage this?
I manage it by trying to focus on what's present. So if I'm with her, I make sure that my phone is away, my laptop's closed, and yun, parang it's really more of giving quality time to whatever you're doing and to whoever you're with. So I think it's more difficult nowadays because of our phones,
right,
being very accessible, Wi-Fi's. When I was still younger, we had to do dial-up. It's hard to, Friendster, ganun lang, but I think one of the best things to do is, if you have so many things to do, and then just focus on what you're doing at present, be present, because sometimes it's sad when I go to restaurants and I see couples or
their
families,
phones,
and they're all like doing like that, no? So I think that's one of the things we can do to be more present.
Yeah, be fully present. Arriane, how about you? And when do you feel guilty? What's your trigger? How do you manage it?
Very recently, I wanted to share a story because recently it was International Women's Day, right? So, syempre, International Women's Day, when you go on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, there's so many articles about all of these amazing women doing amazing things all over the world. And syempre, you're like liking things, you're reading things, and I know they were put out there. That content was put out there to inspire you, but it was. I was sharing this on social media. It was kind of double-edged for me because yes, I loved reading about all these women breaking the glass ceiling, but at the same time, it made me so anxious about myself and what I was doing and if I was doing enough, if I was doing enough good, if I was empowering enough women, if I was teaching enough women. Ano ba? Did I choose the right career? Should I be doing more? Should I be ganyan? Like everything just came rushing in because I saw all these women who seemed like they were doing so well in their lives. They were making such a big difference in other people's lives. And that just gave me so much anxiety that day na parang, shocks, I feel like at this point in my life, I feel like I'm so behind and I should be doing more. And that always happens to me. I feel like, lalo na ngayon, you read so much of these stories online and much of what you read are the successes, the highlights na. Kumbaga, na-feature na sila kasi nagawa na nila yung ginawa nila. But wala masyadong stories about what they failed at, what they had to go through to get there. And I know it's easy to say, well, just remember that's not the entire story. But it's hard. It's hard to practice. You can say na, oh, just remember, okay lang yan, ganyan-ganyan, honor where you are. You're exactly where you need to be right now, mga ganyan-ganyan. Diba? Parang, like, repost, post on story. Pero, like for me, sometimes there are different days. There are days when it's easier to deal with, when I'm like, you know what, I'm busy. Medyo hindi ko kailangan mag-dwell on this anxiety. But there are days when it's much harder, and you just kind of feel down. But if there's one thing that I really practice ever since, I know that most of the time you can't control what you feel. You can't control your thoughts, but you have a lot of control over what you can do. So if you're feeling really down, really anxious, or at least if I feel really anxious, what I try to do is get active, get moving, whether that is going out to, I'm gonna, text a friend, oh, do you wanna work at a cafe? Just to get out, do something, or go to the gym even, go for a walk, or just go to a different place, just to shift my attention. Because parang ang hirap i-change what you feel about something, but you can easily change your behavior and what you do. So I really try to get myself out of my bed, out of Netflix, out of that K-drama na nasa episode 16 na ako. Kaninang umaga, parang episode 2 pa lang. So yun, I try to get out.
I love that advice because it happens to everyone. I think this feeling of getting anxious or feeling overwhelmed, that happened to me recently wherein, there's just so many things on your plate and I'm supposedly already, I got featured for International Women's Day, so supposedly I have my thing together, but I don't, right? And I love your advice about getting out of the house because that does happen to me, that when you're in your house and you're just online and nothing, you just wallow. So that's great. How about you, Winnie? What do you do? And what are your triggers and how do you manage it?
I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I take that as an advantage. I think if you don't pressure yourself, then, you're not really. I feel like it's a source of motivation, and if you take it with a grain of salt, right? I mean, of course, you can't beat yourself up all the time, but I feel like that's what motivates me to become better and always reflect on what I should do and what I shouldn't do. I think reflection is key. You'll always look back at what you did wrong and what you did right, and then kind of move forward with that, and then kind of take it and then push forward with it. I just repeated myself. And one more thing is I like to always kind of list things down in terms of what's urgent and not urgent. Like a lot of the things that I want to do, I say, okay, these are the big tasks. And then I go on and look at the smaller tasks, like I want to finish a TV show. That's not urgent. That's always in place. But like projects and stuff. And also like breaking down these big projects. I think a lot of people take in big goals. They're like, I want to lose weight. But like you have to take it one at a time. You can't just be like, it's not manageable if you look at it in a bigger, as a big goal. It's intimidating. You need to break it down so that it's approachable and manageable for you.
I love that. It's a very systematic way of addressing it, which I think we need. And I guess my question is, have you ever experienced a circumstance wherein your success in one aspect of your life happened because you had to make some compromises or at the expense of another area of your life? Did you ever have that experience?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the times you have to kind of make sacrifices. And also I want to say this as well. A lot of people, they like to compare themselves with other people, or they want to make themselves feel better, and they'd be like, oh yeah, that person got into this position because of X person, right? And oh, she's privileged and she's this. So you always try to kind of make yourself feel better because you'd say that, oh, this person had an advantage in life. And I think what's important to remember is that everyone has privileges in certain areas and nothing is equal. And I like to say that to my students a lot. Equal doesn't mean getting the same thing. It's about like getting what is good for you. And you need to make the most out of these advantages. What you have in your life, take a look at what you do in your situation and then say, this is what will help me get better. And you should kind of completely ignore like what people say, like, oh, yeah, but you only got to this point because of this person. No, because everybody needed help. Everybody needs help. And we shouldn't discredit someone just because they had help from someone.
Right.
Everybody needs help. and
Which
that's
is
important.
which is a tendency that a lot of people do. You discredit someone,
Yeah.
and you try to imagine yourself as being at a disadvantage because
Yeah.
you didn't have access to the same opportunities. But
Yeah.
we do have to work with what we have, right?
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on comparing. How about for the two of you?
Because now I feel like I handle it better, but before, because about ilang years na ba? 5 years ago, I used to work in the Senate. I worked in the Senate for 3 years. I was doing policy and program work. And I never saw myself working in the government ever, but I always knew I wanted to work in the development sector. It's just that my career at that moment brought me to that place. But I've always been a creative. I love expressing myself through my art, through how I dress, through how I look. And I feel like two sides of myself were definitely sort of, parang I felt like my creative side, I had to give it up in order to excel at my Senate work. And so I struggled with that at the beginning because I was probably, how old was I? 23 when I was in the Senate, and everyone I worked with was like double my age. And it was so hard kasi on one hand, and this I guess, I don't know, who here doesn't work in a very creative environment? Like, not super creative, maybe office, bank, government, ganyan. Yan. Alam nyo to.
Gusto ko yung nag-name ka ng industry.
Ni-name. Kasi kanina parang ganun. Pero nung sabi mong office, bank, ayan na. And, di ba parang, lalo na when you're just starting out, you kind of don't know yet, do you express your personality through how you dress? What about the color of my hair? So, suot ko ba tong hairpin na to? What about my dangling earrings? What about my shoes? And for some people, what they do is they just have a totally different personality. When they go, kita mo, black and white lang, ganyan, nude lip. Pero pag weekend, di ba? But it's so hard. Like, that's like living two lives. And for me, at first, I was like, oh my God, do I want to fit in? Or do I just use, again, what Winnie was saying, do I want to use who I am and what is perceived as a disadvantage as an advantage? And so what I did, and I think this was both an act of rebellion and also a reminder for myself to, para hindi kainin ng sistema, nagpa-blonde ako, as in like, K-pop blonde in the Senate, and I was always wearing like pink heels, purple blazer. Everyone's in black and white, and then here I was, a K-pop star in the Senate halls. But for me, my disadvantage became sort of my reminder for myself that I don't have to compromise who I am in order to fully show up in the work that I was doing. And what I did was I made it sort of like, because I hate that it's this way, but when you are like that, when you care about fashion and beauty, people kind of dismiss you as someone more frivolous, not super professional. But I let them think that, they walk into a meeting, they think I'm just like some young person they hired for social media. And then, pag time ka na mag-present, boom! Wala, as in animations, graphics, ganyan. As in, wala, talbog sa lahat sa presentation ko. So I let them think I'm that non-professional, creative person. But when I present my work, I make sure that my work blows them out of the water. So I
Yes,
think
nice.
yun lang.
Yeah. I love it. And you know what? Thank you to those people who underestimated
Yeah.
you, right? Because
Yeah.
that was your drive as well to
I
be who
think,
you are
yeah.
now.
And I think they're just so surprised na parang, di nila lang na parang napapa-oo na lang sila. So, works.
Dr. Jing, for you?
Yeah, I experience it all the time. Yung sometimes, and like when I was awarded the TOIM, I was thinking how many sacrifices I had to do, I had to give up. And then siguro for me, it's just like a matter of thanking the people behind the successes. Like for example, I'm very thankful to our house helps, our driver. Like I tell my friends, my colleagues na talagang mamamatay ako pag wala akong driver kasi that's where I read my emails. And like sometimes from St. Luke's to PGH, it takes 2 hours. I'll finish a lot of things there. So I won't be able to do any of those things if it weren't for the people who are helping me. So really important if you are doing a lot of things is to set priorities. Like I mentioned before in one of our She Talks Asia talks, there are days that you prioritize your family. There are days that you have to prioritize your work. You have a project. And there are days that you prioritize yourself. So every day it changes. And then so try not to feel guilty because especially if it's for your own healing and, kasi this is a very good movement, We Are Enough. It's really important to allot time for yourself. Like for you to be a good doctor, a good mother, whatever your work is, you have to be whole. You have to be happy, no? You have to be well. You have to be, hindi ka wala kang sakit, ganyan. So, setting priorities, being comfortable with what you have, what you are, and not comparing yourself with other people because we have our own differences, different backgrounds, like, yun, and then being present. So I guess those are really the main points that I've been living with.
Very nice. So a while ago, we were talking about how the Hedgren bags are a life hack because nga, you can put all your life in it, but it's also lightweight, which is great, right? But my question for you is, so apart from that, what are the other simple life hacks? Because everyone here would like some tips, right? Like they see women, girl bosses, powerful women making waves. How do they balance? What are the simple things that they can do?
Don't hoard.
What? Don't hoard. Why don't hoard?
Hoarding. One tip that I give everyone is get what you need. I think packing your entire life into a bag, yes, that you feel the urge to do that, but don't. Okay? Pack what you need. What is important to you right now? Where are you going? What is important? Do that. Get what you need and then pack that. And I think that makes it lightweight and then it's easy breezy. It's beautiful. Cover girl. Just not sponsored.
How about you?
For me, it's making a list. I like doing lists, like what you said, what to do now, what to do in a month. So setting goals and making a list so that you can always check and feel accomplished. And when I travel,
That does make me feel better when I'm checking.
When you
yeah.
cross out something from the to-do list,
Feels
which never
good.
ends. It never ends. Every day there's something that's there, like grocery, and then ubos na yung grocery, magpapagas ka naman ng car, and then the car breaks down. You have to. There's so many things women have to do. Sa totoo lang, so many things. Especially those who stay at home. Are there any stay-at-home moms here? Because I think that's also a very difficult job. My friends who are stay-at-home moms, they are super tired because ako kasi I have an excuse, no? I'm working kaya hindi ako nakaluto, ganun. But people who are at home, they're expected to do all these things.
Right, that's true.
And then they are told, wala ka namang ginagawa eh. Di ba parang ganun pa? You're not
Yes,
working. They don't
that's
think
so
being
bad,
at home
yeah.
is work. That's why I think nga I'm so happy I am working because I don't get to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Wala, no, mga like once a month lang ako nagluluto. But it's really more of making lists and then crossing them out. And then like when I travel, I make sure that nakaplan na yung susuotin ko every day.
Okay,
So I
nice,
don't
yeah.
pack a lot. I never like traveling heavy. So I'm excited to get my bag, actually. Also not sponsored.
Not sponsored. No, I like what you said because that's true. Like stay-at-home moms, they get a lot of flack because they do so many things, and then the husband complains like you don't do anything, right? And it's the same for. I was just recently talking to a friend who she has two other siblings, and she's the only one not married. And then they also feel like she has all the time in the world. So for example, if their mom goes to the hospital, needs to go to the hospital, it's her. If they need a babysitter, it's her. So it's like her schedule is packed, even if technically she has no commitments, because everyone relies on her. That's a different panel altogether, but yes. How about you, Arriane? For you, what are your mga concrete life hacks?
I definitely work out. I think that's very important. And I don't mean, I know it's very trendy now, like how to grow your glutes, yung mga ganyan sa Instagram. But I don't mean that. I just mean to be active, to find a movement that you love and to do it. Because our lifestyles right now, the way that the world has developed, it is so sedentary that we are sitting down in front of screens for most of our days, and our bodies were not built for that. So find a movement that you love. If that is lifting weights, then go for it. If that is Zumba, go for it. If that's pole dancing, go for it. So definitely that one. And then another one is to be very self-aware when you fall into the pattern of getting into numbing distractions. That's what I call them. Parang distractions that are just to numb the things that you either should be dealing with, whether that's emotions or tasks. And the number one numbing distraction that I see is either Instagram or online shopping. So very, natawa kayo kasi totoo. When
Don't
you find,
hoard, sabi ni Winnie, don't
right?
hoard.
When you find yourself on like these apps, you know what apps I'm talking about, then like for me, when I find myself just scrolling on the shopping apps, I'm like, okay, wait, what am I avoiding? What am I avoiding to deal with? And lastly, I think just to know what matters to you. I think a lot of the frustration and the guilt comes up when ikaw mismo, you don't know what is important to you and you start basing your life based on what you feel are important because you're basing it off others. So when you're always reflecting, make it a journal prompt. Like, what is important to me today? Kahit na today lang, kahit not in life. What is the most important thing for me today? And then really focus on that. Yun. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's time for some Q&A. So if we have members from the audience who have some questions. By the way, I can hear someone's phone or alarm. Please silent it. Thank you. Okay, so do you have questions for our panelists? Oh, they're shy pa because it's the morning, but later.
Later marami na tanong. Siguro while we're waiting for someone to, you know, to stand
be
up there,
brave.
to be brave enough to stand up there, I just want to add something because Isa reminded me.
Yeah.
I actually forgot to talk about it. To feel less guilty and to heal yourself, you have to do something you really like. No, you have to allot time for yourself to do something you like. So like for me, it's dancing. So kahit my knee is painful all the time, I still dance. Yeah. So I dance with Isa sometimes. And for me, even if it's just once a month, it's my me time and I should not feel guilty. So ngayon, medyo I've learned how to address that, you know, that I'm doing this because I need to be whole. So you have to continue what you do, what you love. You do what you love, and then it increases your self-worth, and then you'll be happier. You'll be more able to do what you need to do.
Yeah, I also wanted to add that, like, yes, you always want to search for this happiness, but you also need to realize that it's not always going to be like that. You're not always going to feel happy 24/7.
And it's okay.
Yeah,
right?
and it's okay. And you don't see that side of everybody. Like whenever you see someone, it's like, yay, I'm happy. But like, you don't know what they're going through. Everyone has a different story, and not everybody is smiling the entire time. Everyone has struggles.
It's true, and the struggles are really part of it, right? That's how life is supposed to be. And you can also see it in nature, like the natural movement of graphs, for example, right? It's always, there's a rise and there's a fall, and there's a rise and there's a fall, and it's just simply part of it. If we don't, sorry, last chance to ask a question. Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Please approach the mic. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm also a teacher, and right now, I'm in a quarter life crisis, I guess, because I'm teaching already for almost 8 years, and I'm not sure now whether I'm going, in the right path, that I would like myself to take. So, do you have any concrete tips on how you were able to identify what you really want to do in your life? Because you all seem happy, I'm assuming happy, and satisfied with your choices. So, with the things that you're doing right now, how do you identify which you really...
What's your life path?
Which are the ones that you really like to do? Thank you.
Can I choose some? Because I know that you went through different careers before you settled on this one.
Definitely start exploring, especially if you've been in the same career path for 8 years. It's so hard to know what you really want to do when you haven't explored your options. So parang, I always see it as the path always has to diverge first before you converge. So before you start choosing the converging path, you have to diverge first. So widen your options, try different things. If what pulls you to a certain activity? Do you wanna, I don't know, do you wanna learn sewing? Do you wanna learn dancing? Do you wanna learn, I don't know, making soap? Or anything
Making
like
spreadsheets.
right, making spreadsheets. Diba? Parang you have to let yourself, you have to allow yourself to have a period of exploration wherein you widen your options. All the things that you've always wished, na parang, you know what, I've always wished na I could learn more about film or I could learn more about music. Explore that. Maybe have a year of just like widening your options or 6 months. I don't know. But tsaka mo lang really, that's the only time you can actually say, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. But when you're at a point where you've been doing the exact same thing for 8 years, konti lang yung options mo now eh. Now I feel like your options are just two. Do I continue teaching or do I not? But life isn't just about two options. You have to widen them, allow yourself the phase to widen, and then that's when you choose.
Hi, good morning. I'm Billy. And I don't have issues with what I want to go to because I know I'm in teaching. I'm also a teacher for almost
Wow, we have
8
so many
years already.
teachers.
Yes.
Amazing.
So this particular panel discussion really is striking to me because there are two teachers. But my concern is this. I am in the age where I'd like to thrive in my career and profession, and I think this is the year where these are the years where you almost drown yourself into work. But this particular thing, I'm also not yet married, I'm still single, but I feel like I drowned myself to work because I wanted to prove something personally to fulfill, but I have demands from my outside life of work, like my family's demand. So I'm from the province, so their demand would be, you're always there in the metro and you don't usually go home. Or some of my friends who are not teachers, who I think could not understand, why can't you understand? I'm a teacher. I'm teaching senior high school, which changes subject every semester, which have a lot of subjects to teach. So my question is, how do you manage the demand of the outside people of your profession? Like in my case, my family, my friends who are not teachers, and the other people who demand to spend time with me or want to be with me. But here I am, I wanted to be in my profession, the best in my profession, so I could not really know how to do time management in
Right.
that case.
Right.
So
Okay.
thank you.
Anyone want to answer?
Hi, Billy. So mukhang ako yung sasagot. Um, there are so many demands in your life, something like that. And it's really what most of us experience. And I have a lot of that, no? But I've learned how to say no. This is the best thing that my mentor taught me, is to say no. Because I'm a pleaser kasi I say yes to everything. Mag-research ka, gumawa ka ng ganito, and I do everything. I'm so masunurin, but they taught me to learn how to say no, and this is for self-preservation. So if you want to be the best version of yourself and be the best teacher that you can be, and then you can try saying no gently. And I don't know if you can help them understand that you're not like what they want you to be because you have your own goals. And siguro we just have to tell them nicely, no? You're not like, ayoko pumunta, ganyan. But it's more of, for me, it's really that. I really had to learn how to say no. And siguro if I may add a little bit to what the earlier question was, kasi medyo iba yung answer ko kay Arriane. Ako at that time, I never wanted to be a doctor. I never really thought of becoming a STEM girl, etc. But I tried to accept all the opportunities that came my way. During college application, I didn't have one specific goal. Wala akong, I want to be a doctor, wala. So, for UP, it was mass comm, etc. And before college nga, I just wanted to be a model. with Sarah's mom, Tita, si Electrica. Yeah, because we're cousins. And I was like, Tita, magmamodel na lang ako. But she said, you have to lose weight. And I was so, laki-laki ng mukha ko, diba? So I did some modeling for a time, but that was already in med school. But I didn't really have concrete plans. But what I learned to do was, whatever was given to me, I accepted it, and I made the most of it. So I was accepted into UST, actually also UP, but I chose na lang UST. And then I didn't want to become a doctor. I said, okay na, I'll just go abroad and earn money because we came from a lower income family. And then during pre-med, all my classmates were applying to med school, and sabi ko, sige na nga, apply na rin ako. And then they said, oh, apply tayo sa UP because there's very little, the tuition is super small, like 21,000 compared to the other hospitals. O sige, apply tayong UP. And then, I got accepted. I was the only one who got accepted because I think it's God's plan to send you wherever you are. And then, ang ginawa ko na lang was to accept it wholeheartedly, but it wasn't want of, heartaches and all. I was so sad because my friends were all there in the other side. But I learned to love the place I am in. I made the most of it. And it's really more of acceptance sometimes. So you want to broaden your horizons, but sometimes if we cannot really go out there and do everything we want to do because we have to think about expenses and all that, and then we accept and be happy because happiness is really a decision we can do.
Winnie, do you want to add something to the question about, how do you manage the external pressure?
Just to really wrap it up, I totally agree with you. Learning how to say no and prioritizing what's important. I think it's also good to remember that, it's not about the quantity of people that are around you; it's the quality. Right. And you can't please everybody. Not everybody's gonna like you, and you choose people, and you surround yourself with people that are understanding. And know that they're going at their own pace, you're going at your own pace, and understand that you have your own schedule. Like, I try to sleep at 9 o'clock at night because I work in the morning. And I have a lot of friends out there that go party because, they have work that starts at 8, but I have to wake up at 5:45 every morning. And it really sucks because I miss out on that, but I have to understand that it's not always like that. It's not the same for everybody.
Okay, and then final words, maybe Arriane?
Well, I just wanted to point out one thing that you said, which I think wag mo rin kakalimutan when you're thinking about these things, because you started off by saying, I'm not in a crisis about what I want to do. I actually know what I want to do. And so many young people want to be in your place of actually being sure about where you are, what you love doing. And so don't forget that. And I'm sure as a teacher, you've been doing this for almost 8 years. You know your values. You know what's important to you. So it's just a matter of translating those values into actual boundaries in your life. Explain it well to your family, to your friends. Make time naman. Parang if you can set a schedule, if you can tell your mom, you know what, I can probably manage to visit home once every 3 months? Kaya ba yun? Mga ganon, set something and then honor that commitment to them. But it doesn't mean na bahala na whenever na lang ako makauwi. But just, you know your values, you know your priorities. It's a matter of setting boundaries and making time, not just finding time for the people who are important to you.
And on that note, I'd like to end and thank everyone in the panel once again, ladies and gentlemen. Arriane Serafico, Jing Zamora, and Winnie Wong.